countdown for a fake crash. It's often effective as because of the countdown, it happens at a seemingly random time, making the glitch seem authentic. An error screen will appear and the game will go black. Players will sit and wait in hopes that they're sent to the menu, but they are instead greeted with this. The dull and dark image of what appears to be a dead woman's corpse appears on screen, with a faint tone playing in the background. I assume this isn't really a dead woman, but it's set a photo to appear as if she is. And I will say it gets the job done well. I actually love the horror behind this. The noise isn't loud and the image is almost hard to see. But once you start to make out all the features, it's quickly terrifying. Race with Ryan? What even is this game, man?
Wait, hold up, what?
Game
Even this game?
One of the most notorious YouTubers in existence.
It's probably weird.
Ryan's World. Ryan is the kid who opens toys and gets paid a ridiculous amount. We're getting off topic here. And they release a watered-down Mario Kart ripoff titled Race with Ryan. I mention all of this because the image you're about to see isn't too weird out of context. However, just know that some of the characters in this game are based off real-life kids. And when I say that, I mean Ryan. Allow me to show you some of Ryan's face models. We have Smile, Frown, Eyes Closed Smile, Mouth Open Smile, and...
That scared me.
One unused model of Ryan's face features X's around the eyes with blood dripping down his head. His mouth is stitched up and it's really messed up. It's literally like a scene from Saw. It's just a poorly made doodle, but the fact that it was created over the model resembling a real-life boy is just beyond disturbing. The developers have never made a comment on this inclusion. This is the second time we have seen a SpongeBob children's game here. I've lost all faith in humanity at this point. You will not believe what's hidden in SpongeBob Super Sponge. SpongeBob Super Sponge was a SpongeBob platformer on the PlayStation that featured many characters we all know and love. However, let me tell you the plot and take good note of it. It is, and I quote, "It's Patrick's birthday, and SpongeBob wants to give him the best present ever." While lurking through the files, we can find hand drawings of many SpongeBob characters. These are just plain head sketches, but then we stumble across 3 outliers that I'm forced to blur for the sake of community guidelines. Very lewd photos of SpongeBob and Patrick. I'm just at a loss for words. If this isn't enough, there's more with Sandy. And even a photo of SpongeBob dressed in very tight bondage. I don't know what this is all about, but there were some really messed up and kinky developers behind this game. And I'm just gonna jump to the next one. I'm getting sick. Mario Kart GP was an exclusive Mario Kart to arcades. It featured the same concept as many other Mario Karts, except this included a collaboration with Namco, which resulted in Pac-Man guest characters. The fact that this was an arcade-themed Mario Kart is probably one of the reasons why the image hidden within the file stayed stashed away for so long. This photo was used as a placeholder to test the camera function in the arcade cabinet. This may not seem too bizarre at first glance, but the backstory is much sinister. Back in 2004, a school in Beslan, Russia was sieged by Islamic nationalist terrorists. About 1,100 people were taken hostage, including children, and after sending soldiers to handle the situation, a large gunfight ensued, with many innocent people being injured. The event was coined as the Beslan School Hostage Crisis, and this photo was taken from there. Final Fantasy is a fantastic game which you should all play. But I say this because this image contains very slight spoilers. It could be more, but I will reveal the image in a way that doesn't say too much about the story. So the main character of FF8 is this guy named Squall. The ending of the game featured a glitchy mess of delusions and flashbacks, in which many visual effects are present and images begin to flash. There is lore behind this, but like I said, I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. Within the mess of Fate images, we see this picture of Squall for only a few frames. His head has been modified to feature a huge hole, and on the inside, it's just a hollow void. The image really does get more creepy the more you look at it. It honestly looks like one of those Photoshop images used for a bad creepypasta. And then Squall walked into my house, hole in head. Regardless, it is terrifying, and it really is a powerful addition when you learn more about the story. Like I said, I know it's old, but just go check it out. Tomb Raider really is a joy because you can explore so many secrets and hidden locations. There really is endless possibilities to what you might find. Well, even with this, I don't think anyone expected to see what hides in Tomb Raider Last Revelations. Coming to the following location and using a position editor in order to manipulate the game's save file, players can move to a normally inaccessible ledge. From here, players can begin to jump across the side of a cliff until they see a lost room on the edge of the map. The textures used for the walls of this box is this really eerie, pale white figure of what seems to resemble a woman. Luckily, the photo is in poor quality, but I guess that kinda adds to the creepiness. The reason behind this inclusion is that the building is actually accessible at a different point of the game. Using the position editor to revisit the location at a point normally inaccessible, the textures are changed to this one instead of the typical temple design. Our last entry in this list lies in Little Nightmares. I know there's so much possibilities that can come from a game that puts a small child in a world of giant freakish ghouls and monsters. While looking through the pictures in the game files, Reddit user Soba found an unsettling image titled Wilderness Creepy Guy. This image seems to feature a bald man whose upper lip is stretched towards his nose. Looking through the Reddit posts, many users theorize who this might be, with some popular guesses being the doctor from the hospital chapter or a version of one of the brothers from the kitchen chapter. Regardless of where this might lie, the blurred and faint drawing of this mysterious character sure is chilling. Hey, did you guys know what's really scary? That about 96% of you aren't subscribed. If you enjoy this video, please...
Ah, here's my main man.
Right. Yeah.
So on this channel, I've talked about mobile horror games not once,
And
but twice,
recent.
and how they're really not scary at all. Some of the games that I played back then were more often than not really strange. And quite frankly, the games probably wouldn't even be able to scare a 10-year-old if they tried. However, despite the 2 uploads that I made in 2021, I still feel as though I haven't reviewed enough of these games, as oh boy, there are a lot of them. Now, while I am under the opinion that there are actually some good, decent mobile horror games out there,
Go to make another. Thank you, and enjoy.
No, Patrick. So it's easy to just
Paper Mario. It may not come to such surprise that an entry from the franchise is on this list. Paper Mario has been known for some of its disturbing attributes. Anyways, loading up the game and venturing to Chapter 7-1, you will find yourself in the Underwear, a land of dark, grim colors and spooky characters. They don't leave you without warning, though, as they mention to be wary of the river twigs. They warn of residents being dragged down and caution players to be really careful of drowning. Okay, so as we curious gamers do, we find the river twigs and take a nice dip. Swimming past an army of killer hands, you notice the soundtrack change as you dive deeper into the river. Let's take a listen.
But if I did mean it was a hint, would that be
In this game was meant for children. But not even I will want to play this as a 5-year-old.
Coming up next, we have Music Disc 11 from Minecraft.
Oh,
Odds
Lord.
are you have heard of this one, but it would
It's
be
not even that
criminal to not
scary.
throw
It's
in a
just someone
disturbing
mining
soundtrack from such a
creeper
famous
noises.
children's game.
supposed to be here for the great?
Minecraft features in-game items called discs that play music when placed in a jukebox. Most of them actually play fun little jingles and add a nice touch when running around your world. These discs can be found in underground dungeons and all share a similar design scheme. Well, almost all. The music disc titled 11 seems to be cracked and shattered to the point of being unplayable. Well, those who popped it into a jukebox will notice that that is obviously not the case. Let's see what it plays.
The happiness of your friends. So, does that make us friends? As in, officially?
Someone checking through a mine. Someone mining. No, let's just pass
Our third
this one
entry
because it's
today
not even
lies
that
during the
scary.
Giygas boss battle in
It's just
Earthbound.
someone mining. Game
Those
Theory
who
literally
haven't
did
read
a theory.
Earthbound may still know the
Someone
main
was
character.
mining, then a creeper
Yes.
came and they had to
Ness and his
And they
crew
lost
of
all their
underage kids
stuff.
embark on a triumphant adventure
They
to
died.
defeat the alien overcome with power, Giygas. Many enemies in Earthbound share a typical pixel model like the one shown here. When approaching the battle with Giygas, you are greeted to something slightly different. An abomination that stretches across the entire background of the screen. His face is drawn with a blood-like red color and distorted. He moves across the screen in all types of unsettling patterns, and the soundtrack behind it only makes it worse.
We are now doing everything in our power to find him. In the meantime, I understand you all are upset, but I promise you, you will find him.
Any Kirby fans here? Well, let's rewind all the way back to Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. This Kirby title was released in the early 2000s, a time where censorship was often laughed at in the face by floating heads. Anyways, Kirby embarks on an adventure to help a group of fairies retrieve their crystals after antagonist Dark Matter went and shattered them all. You hop from world to world, doing what the protagonist does best, save the day, until you stumble upon the planet Ripple's Star. Let's see what we are greeted to upon landing at this destination.
Last night I saw things like that. I don't believe myself, but I know what I saw.
Time for a game I guarantee many of you haven't even heard of. If you have, then you will know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a game for the Sega Genesis titled Crazy Bus. The game was absolutely awful. You move buses, one would call it a bus simulator, but it was confusing, and I have no idea what was going on. Numbers change, there's a greater than and less than sign. Just trust me. Skip this title if you ever stumble upon it. I mentioned that if you have heard of this title, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's because this eerie soundtrack lies during the title screen. Let's hear it. I think we have time for one more entry to our list. But before we do, I just want to take this time to remind you to subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content.